Mix 08, today's best mix. Jeanne and Cooper here with you on this Friday morning. And joining us on the phone right now is a voice you'll probably recognize from Saturday nights here on Mix 08, John Garabedian, the host of Open House Party. Good morning, John.
Well, we recognize it if you woke up next to me.
Boom. Amazing.
So you've been in the broadcasting industry for a long, long time, and even just the Open House Party show has been around for quite some time. Why don't you just start off by explaining to us a little bit about where the show Open House Party got its start and kind of a little bit of history behind the show?
Well, the show really started, I didn't invent it, I kind of stole it. When I was a kid, I worked at this radio station. I got a job at this radio station in Worcester, Mass., and the afternoon show was called Open House Party. And it was hosted by two people, and it was just this crazy thing. It was on for 6 hours. People calling in, making requests, telling jokes, running in and out of the studio with artists coming in. It was just one big, nutty, crazy thing. And in 1987, I went to a party in Boston at a club for the debut album of Peter Wolf, who was the lead singer of Jay Giles' band. And all the radio people were there and the people from the music business. And I got a tap on the shoulder from a guy named Sonny Joe White, who was the program director of a station in Boston, who asked me if I was interested in doing some weekend shows on his radio station. And I said, "What do you need me for?" I said, "Why don't you get a couple of college kids?" He said, "Well, that's what we do now." And he said, "The ratings show it. During the week we have great ratings, but on the weekend we kind of fall apart." And I said, "I have an idea. Why don't we grab dinner next week?" So at dinner I proposed to him the concept of weekends are where the listeners really are out having fun. They want to have their favorite radio station sound like fun, as opposed to, some 18-year-old part-timer who can't put two sentences together.
Right.
So I described what it would be to him, which is, a studio full of crazy people and big stars calling in and bands coming in to play live, big contests and listeners on the air requesting their favorite songs, calling in from parties, on and on and on. And he said, "I love it." He said, "If you want to build your studio, we'll put it on right away."
Wow.
So that's how we debuted.
Wow, that's amazing.
And over the years,
and then the idea was that every other radio station had the same problem. So we formed a radio network and started sending it out to stations all over the country.
Absolutely. And over the years, the formula, obviously there have been things that have probably changed over the years, but the formula is still basically the same. It's as it's described, a radio party that, people can tune in and enjoy while they're out doing whatever they're doing on the weekends, which is fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So the next question I guess I have is, you've been involved in the radio industry for a long time. You've been doing this show for quite some time. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen over the years as you've moved through your career in the radio industry?
Well, the biggest is consolidation, which back in the, I don't know what year it was, 2003, the FCC changed the rules. They used to only allow one company to own 12 AM, 12 FM, and 12 TV stations. And they changed the rules, which essentially made it unlimited. You can own as many radio stations as you want. You can only own up to a certain number in each city, depending on the population and the number of radio stations. Well, when that happened, Wall Street started pouring money into radio, because Wall Street's always looking for a good opportunity to make money. It has no conscience. And so radio groups started exploding, and it ended up that there are two groups, iHeartMedia and Cumulus, who own together like 1,400 radio stations, most of them concentrated in the biggest cities. So you have this monopolization. Well, because these companies had so much money come in from debt, all of a sudden they had a problem. The problem was they couldn't service all the debt they had. So now they're upside down, like people who bought houses in 2006. They owe more money than the house is worth.
Right.
So what that put is a pressure on those companies' radio stations to really cut costs. So that cost cutting has ended up in what the radio stations sound like on the air. That's the biggest change.
Yeah, and I think
But
depending
if
on
you
what
want to get
market
us
you're
to
in, you can.
technology, we can talk about HD radio, which is something that's emerging, which is now starting to finally become a big thing. Streaming, which is also a big thing. I mean, in 20 years, I don't think there's anybody who thinks that AM and FM radio are going to be anything. Local radio stations are all going to be on the internet. That's why all the radio stations are pushing download our app.
Right. Yeah, no, that's one thing here is that, we're streaming on our website right now, and that's it's definitely where the industry is going, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, John, congratulations on your book, The Harmony of Parts. And I was looking through it, and I love all the older pictures. I love how it's chronicled of when you started, and there's lots of pictures of you with celebrities. I mean, just tune into Open House Party either Saturday or Sunday night, and you guys always have a great lineup of artists. So, who is your favorite artist you've ever interviewed?
People ask that. There are a lot of people who come in who are great. I mean, I couldn't single one out. There are so
Sure.
many. In the book, I've got a couple pictures with Rihanna. One when she was either 16 or 17 when she first came out with Ponder Replay,
Right.
and then later on when she was, quite a sex symbol. In fact, I think she's wearing a dungaree jacket, which is held open by little chains where the buttons would go, and nothing underneath.
Wow.
But she was wonderful. I mean, Drake is a great guy. There's so many. Justin Timberlake, he first came in when he was 15 with NSYNC. That was back in the mid '90s, and he's of course grown up to be a superstar. And he's an awesome guy.
Well, it's just
there are a lot of them.
It's just got to be incredible for you, especially some of these younger artists that are still around and are very successful. For you to be like, I knew them when, I mean, that's got to be great for you too.
Well, look at Shawn Mendes. I mean, he first came by when he came out with a song that was a YouTube hit. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Look at something. But he came by and hung out, and he was a nice kid, and now he's grown up, and now he's going to be one of the stars of tomorrow. He really is.
Absolutely.
He's huge now. A new song out called Mercy.
Yeah, that's a really good song. You're right. I mean, you're calling it on with him for sure. He's gonna be around for a while.
Yeah.
So,
but in the book, I put a lot of stories about people. Some of them are pretty racy, and I caution your listeners. The book is kind of R-rated, but it's honest.
Well, that's cool though. That's what's
well,
I
I think the big thing there is it's an opportunity to hear some real stories. It's kind of uncensored, a little racy, like you said, but I think that's one of the kind of the interesting lusters about hearing some of the behind the scenes in the broadcast industry as it's changed over the years. Is everything isn't squeaky clean as it would necessarily look on the air all the time.
Right.
Well, yeah. One of the things I talk about is Lady Gaga, who we had quite a hand in helping become a star. When her song Just Dance was being ignored by everybody in radio, and we were playing at an open house party, and the listeners were calling in and made it the most requested song for weeks, and we kept telling the record company, Interscope, you guys, this is the biggest song of the year.
Right.
Why aren't you guys working on it? And they finally did, and then and I talk about the fact that suddenly when she got the power, after she had these massive hits and a big concert tours making millions and millions, suddenly, with that power, she started trying to make all the decisions herself instead of listening to the people who got her there. Her manager, Troy Carter, her stylist, all these people she, one by one, pushed out. And the result was her art pop album, which was a flop.
Right.
And now her new album, which is disappointing. And so we go through that in the book, and it's really interesting to watch a lot of these people.
I would imagine so, over that because of the fact that maybe some artists maybe keep those people around them that help get them where they are, and some feel as though I can make different decisions, and sometimes it works, and sometimes, as you pointed out, it doesn't always work.
Well, usually it doesn't. I mean, the most perfect textbook example of this is Prince. Prince was one of the greatest talents of our lifetimes. Great artist, great songs, great performer, songwriter, everything. And all of a sudden, Prince decided he's in charge of everything. He was a slave to the record label because they're trying to guide him to do the right thing that will appeal to a large number of people. And so what does he do? He changes his name to an unpronounceable symbol. I mean, how crazy was that?
Yeah, that was...
And then he starts putting out these obscure songs that nobody could relate to, and away he went. Goodbye, Prince.
Absolutely, and more of those stories, all of those stories available in the book that you do mention. We've talked about a little bit. The Harmony of Parts, which is available to pick up, and we actually have a copy of it here at the station, which we will be looking to be giving to a listener as well. So it's something that you could definitely check out and hear those stories about artists you hear on the radio all the time right now. Learn about those stories in great detail from someone who has been influential in the music industry, you, John. And so it's something
make sure the winner's over 18.
Yeah, that's a good point, because as you mentioned, there's definitely a little bit of raciness to the book itself. And beside the book, of course, you're heard here on our station every weekend as well. We have open house party as a part of our weekend broadcasts, and of course spicing up everybody's weekends as well. So for folks that know that voice, know John Garabedian from the weekends, of course he'll be with us again tomorrow night on the air doing his thing. The book definitely worth reading if you're someone who's interested in the music business, the broadcasting business, or maybe just a figure that's been involved in both for many years. It's definitely a great read.
Or want to find out more about sex and drugs and rock and roll.
There you go. That's right. Any of the above, it's all there for you waiting in the book. And John, we really appreciate you joining us here this morning, giving us some of your morning after a quick turnaround. You were busy last night doing some stuff with another radio station as well. So we appreciate that you
2 in the morning, I might add.
Yes, 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
so
into the morning.
We basically woke you up this morning for you to join us here. We really appreciate it. So thank you for your time, and we hope you have success with the book, and we hope you have continued success with the show.
Well, thank you. I'm going to start my Keurig machine now to get my cup of coffee going here. Let's see if this thing will work. There we go. Oh, boy.
Perfect. Well, John, you have a great morning, and we'll talk soon.
You too.
All right, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow night.